earlier today. The Rail Splitters taking that one in straight sets. Ben, it's going to be a real interesting one here today. Definitely an underdog matchup. Harvard up against 8th-ranked BYU. Those West Coast teams are no joke when it comes to men's volleyball and college volleyball. No,
I mean, the MPSF's long been sort of the reigning conference. Now you've got two out there with the Big West sponsoring the sport as of a few years ago. So you've got, unbelievable talent. Obviously, that's sort of where the main talent throughout the country comes from. But it's a rapidly expanding game, as we talked about throughout the weekend. And going to be interesting to see if Harvard can return the favor after BYU swept the Crimson in Provo a couple years ago.
Zach Birdie looked to kick things off with a serve, but he kicks things off with a service error. He served just a little bit too low. So now Tyler Herget, the man who we highlighted earlier, Ben, his turn to serve for the Cougars. Strong serve, well received by the libero. That's Thomas Fung for the Harvard Crimson. Fung with the dig. Bad pass by Shevchuk. He was looking for Bishop. BYU's turn. And that's going to be Connor Oldaney. He's able to tool it off of a Crimson. And the Cougars are on the board 2-0 now.
Yeah, a simple swing by Oldaney there. Just goes off the outside hand of Bishop. You're right. Tough set there by Shevchuk. Decent enough pass, but he put Bishop a little too tight to the net.
Herget again with a strong serve. This time they're going to go back to Bishop. Can't get on the first time. Near side now. Sawyer Nichols able to find that back line. And Harvard is finally on the board here in this first set.
Yeah, if Harvard's going to have success, Nichols is going to have to be a guy you think is going to have to get a volume of sets today. Primarily hits off the net from that right side. That's where he's better able to see the block, see the floor.
Brian Thomas, the senior from Moraga, California, leads this team in hitting percentage, but Talon Jonathan Tufunga does not care. One of the best offensive powerhouses the Cougars have. He gets on the board here, make it 3-1.
Okay, he was outstanding yesterday. Really got BYU going early against Lincoln Memorial, and then sort of the rest of the group picked it up along the way, but always nice to have a guy who can sort of start off a match quick.
Tufunga able to put an ace up on the board. He finds that near sideline, just slips it inside. And BYU so far in total control in this first frame.
Yeah, service game going to be huge, obviously, in dictating this one. BYU, heavy favorite in terms of the service against LMU yesterday. Harvard decidedly won the service battle against Merrimack, so now we see how they match up today.
A little bit of a punch there by Wolbert. Goes a little too strong with it, misses the mark, and BYU now up 5-1.
Yeah, trajectory on that set not quite high enough. Wolbert just trying to put it into a good spot, ended up missing it wide.
Tufunga targets Fung with the serve, and tooling it off of a Cougar was Sawyer Nichols. Harvard now down 5-2. The sophomore from Anacortes, Washington, leading this Crimson team in total kills, averaging 2.39 per set.
That's what you're going to have to do if you're Harvard. You're going to have to make something out of bad passes, because it's just unrealistic to expect that you're going to pass perfectly the whole day.
Tufunga with some authority slams it down. My goodness, shot out of a cannon. He is absolutely massive when you see him in person. 6'5". He's just a menacing figure when you see him out there.
Yeah, plenty of room out of the back. A little space between the block as well.
He tried to go to the far side for Bishop. Didn't get a lot of power on that one. But Trent Mosier able to find some open space on the floor. It touches, and the Grand Canyon University transfer gets on the board for the Cougars.
A very quick transition that time from the Cougars. Good quick set by Herget. Mosier up there before the block can get set.
3 different transfers from Grand Canyon University as Owen Wolbert responds in kind with a kill of his own. He averages over 1.8 kills per set. He had 110 total kills last season, averaging around 1.4%. He's steadily increasing now in his junior season.
Started with a good pass there. Nice quick run to the middle.
Bishop with a strong serve. Good reaction on the reception there. That was Trent Mosier. And at a system where the Crimson couldn't respond offensively, and BYU up 8-3.
Well, they forced Cougars into a tip that time. Nichols does okay to get a first touch, but just no reaction from anybody near the middle of the floor there.
Oldaney, Fung with the dig. Near side's just shoved over by Nichols. Far side, Oldaney capitalizes yet again. Currently 9th in the MPSF in kills per set with 3.14. Gets another one there, and a timeout going to be called by Brian Bays and the Harvard Crimson. 9-3 Cougars lead in this first set.
Yeah, you can see BYU very early on just getting much better looks offensively, and big part of that's due to their defense. They're just putting Herget in much better position to be able to distribute, and you've seen already the variety of shots that this offense has. You've seen the right side, you've seen the outside up front, you've seen the middle pipe ball in the back row, and now you get the right side in the back row with Oldaney taking off from behind that 10-foot line. So BYU putting it all on display early on, and that makes it tough for the Harvard defense, because now you don't really have anything to anticipate, because you don't know where Herget's going to be going with the ball, because he might be going anywhere. And when you have to think about that as a defender, it makes you, sort of pause a little bit. And this is such a reactive game that if you're not anticipating and getting yourself in position early, then all of a sudden you're behind the 8 ball.
BYU has hit the ground running. 7 total attacks, 6 kills. They have made no mistakes offensively nor defensively. Harvard just trying to hang in there. 8 total attacks, 3 kills, 1 attacking error. But so far, it has been all Cougars in the early parts of this matchup.
Yeah, and the serve's been strong as well. Shevchuk's been forced to chase on a couple of occasions, including that last point.
Tufunga already with 3 kills.
It's a foot fault.
Oldaney mistimes his serve, steps over the line on the wind-up, and nevertheless didn't get over the net anyway.
So odd, because I swear sometimes you'll go a whole season watching a team and not see one, and then saw one yesterday from Merrimack and another one today.
In my years as a broadcaster, I've never seen that happen. Never seen a foot fault on a serve, as Gavin Chambers goes too strong with his attack. Point back to the Harvard Crimson, and they're within 4.
I mean, usually those jump servers, they know kind of how much room they need, and there is plenty of space, obviously, here at the Malkin Athletics, and you see how much room Wolbert's giving himself behind the end line. But sometimes they misjudge it.
Is there any differences that Harvard would need to prepare for a jump server as opposed to a still server?
I mean, you can see when they anticipate, obviously they've got BYU scouted, they know who does what. When they anticipate a float serve, Harvard likes to really cheat up behind that 10-foot line. Sometimes it's a little bit of a high risk, but with the jump servers, they'll stay much further back.
Trent Mosier, again, over everyone, over that back line. The senior from Gilbert, Arizona, another Grand Canyon University transfer, commits a service error, so Harvard still within 4, but BYU is up 10-6 currently.
Yeah, with the serve receive, it's all about communication, sort of expecting that ball is going to come your way.
Poor reception from Jackson Fife, the libero, kind of put his hands up, didn't realize it was not dipping down as much as he expected it to. And Harvard now within 3. Fife, the senior from Las Vegas, Nevada, has 5 or more digs in 5 matches this season.
That's 2 in a row now for Shevchuk. A little bit of a different type float serve. Ideally, what you're looking for on a float serve is to try to get that ball to knuckle a little bit. Shevchuk actually puts a little more pace on his. And so, as a passer might be anticipating a last-second cut, it doesn't come, and it gets on him a little quickly.
Shevchuk well positioned for the defense there, as that one is rejected. Gavin Chambers combining. I believe that was Tyler Herget to get the block.
Yeah, 3-man block up there for BYU. Herget, Tufunga, and Chambers. And Nichols just didn't have anywhere to swing through that one.
You see Max Philippe also there on that front line, and put an ace up on the board this time, Trent Mosier. He's a strong receiver on the back line, but he's getting it done with the serves. He had 13 kills and 3 total blocks yesterday. Entered into today with 3 service aces. And he gets his first one right there.
Yeah, that was a little bit of the gamble on the float serve. Harvard had everybody cheated up. Nobody wanted to step in front of that one, and Chambers put it on the back line, but good quick response there by Thomas.
Brian Thomas tooled it off of Max Philippe, so now Zach Birdie's turn to serve. Harvard hanging in there. It's 12-9.
Yeah, good response out of the timeout.
Tufunga tries to go to the far side. He slipped that in there. What an incredible angle taken by Taylon Jonathan Tufunga, the Long Beach Californian.
Well, I mean, at first blush, this looks like a miss hit. And if it is, it's the best miss hit you'll ever get. Just some unbelievable English on that ball to be able to carve it at the 10-foot line.
Certainly with how he reacted, it looked like he did it on purpose. Like, oh yeah, that was totally intentional. Near side trying to push it over with Sawyer Nichols, and it worked. He fought through the block of Philippe.
Another little bit of a tough set here. Shevchuk, I think, pushes that ball a little too tight to the antenna, but that's why they say you can't teach height. 6'9", Sawyer Nichols able to use that reach to go and get it and tip it off the fingertips of the block.
They got a lot of height on the outside with Sawyer Nichols as well as in the middle. Brian Thomas clocking in at 7'0". That one ricochets right off the chest of Quinn Bishop into the netting, and BYU responds.
Harvard's going to have to figure out something with the block here because BYU is getting everything pretty much clean up front. You know, it's one thing if, they're getting good shots out of the back row or off the net a little bit, but, there's not a lot of net front resistance at the moment.
Tufunga with an ace. He just rockets it right past Thomas Fung. Another ace for Tufunga, and it's 15-10 Cougars.
Some of his serves really have a lot of steam coming off of them. I don't know what you do really as a passer. You just sort of have to step in front, hope for the best.
You cannot pay me to stand in front of one of those, Ben. Pass was a little bit too high for Wolbert, able to get his fingertips on it. Cougars turn to attack. They can't get it to touch. Bad first touch by the Crimson, and Mosier makes them pay.
Yeah, Fung, a rare mistake by the Harvard libero, just overcooks the pass. It's a good deflection by the block, and you can see he's trying to put Shevchuk right on the net and just gets a little too much underneath it.
You can see Fung show some frustration there in that replay. The sophomore libero from Dallas, Texas. Crimson get one back at 16-11.
Yeah, he stepped in as a first year a year ago and really won that libero job right out of the gate. So, I mean, very experienced at that spot. Ryan Bays likes what he does back there. Missed some time early in the year with an upper body injury.
Not sure what happened there on that serve. Sawyer Nichols missed everything. It sailed over everyone's head by at least 5 feet.
It's a topspin serve without topspin.
Looking like a wiffle ball pitch out there. So now it's Cole Hauser, the Orange Coast College transfer, senior from San Diego, California. His first appearance we've seen today. He's played 22 sets, doesn't rack up the most stats. He's got an ace heading into this one.
Yeah, primarily a serving specialist for BYU.
Goes too strong with that one, so Harvard will get the serve right back, and Hauser will promptly sub back off. Bishop's turn now. Bishop currently 8th in the NCAA in aces per set. Strong serve there, well read by Tufunga. Good positioning defensively by Nichols. They go to the far side, and finding floor is Zach Birdie.
First time they've had an opportunity to set Birdie. It's a good call by Bishop. Shevchuk was recovering from the block, so Bishop calls him off, says, "I'll take this one," and does a good job giving Birdie time to see around the block.
Birdie, when they played BYU last year, Zach Birdie recorded 12 kills against them. He's also currently sitting at 299 career digs. One more, he'll be at an even 300 as Sawyer Nichols gets the tool kill off of Trent Mosier. And a timeout is going to be called by BYU's head coach Sean Olmstead. The Crimson starting to claw back in this one here.
Yeah, they had their first good run coming out of the timeout, got back within a couple points, and now after BYU was able to open up a 6-point lead, all of a sudden a little mini 3-0 run. So Sean Olmstead says, let's just, try to stop the momentum before it becomes too much. You get 2 timeouts per set, so burn one of them here. And good execution again, transition offense by the Crimson. Block gets a piece of the attack, so slows things down. Bishop's able to make quality pass. Shevchuk's got all 3 of his hitting options, and Sawyer Nichols with a good rip down the line.
Both these teams winning in straight sets against their respective opponents yesterday. The Crimson facing off against the team neighboring them just up to the north, Merrimack Warriors. They took them down in straight sets. Meanwhile, BYU faced off against Lincoln Memorial. They're ranked 20th in the current AVCA coaches poll. BYU ranked number 8th. BYU is actually going to stay on this East Coast for a little bit to play the one team they have not yet played in this Harvard Crimson Invitational. They're at Merrimack on Monday.
Yeah, nice opportunity to get an extra game in. Enjoy the weather.
Definitely interesting for Merrimack, considering they are an independent team. They play in the IVA, not necessarily part of a conference. They don't have the conference portion of their schedule, so why not? You know, number 8 team in the country's on the East Coast. Why not have them stay a couple extra days and play the Warriors? A very young team, a very young head coach looking to grow their program. Still very new. It was developed and formed in 2023. Harvard is going to get on the board fresh off the timeout. It's now a 2-point game off a misreception on the serve by the Cougar.
Yeah, and for Merrimack, obviously, to have a program like BYU on campus, that's a big get for them as well. Nice job by Shevchuk. Doesn't try to do anything too tricky.
Put an ace on the board. Quinn Bishop able to sneak one down that near sideline. Slips it in, and it's a 1-point game, and Harvard running with the momentum.
Well, the timeout from BYU intended to halt the Crimson momentum, but it's done exactly the opposite.
A 6-1 run for Harvard, make that 6-2. BYU back up by a pair.
Yeah, a smart call there by Herget, going to their sort of steadying presence in Mosier. He's the most veteran of the hitters, and you can always trust him to be able to put away a ball.
Old Damey shoots it over, and getting the tool, Sawyer Nichols has it deflect off of Trent Mosier.
I think that actually went through Chambers. Looked like he just got a little bit off balance midair. Yeah, you could see the arms kind of come apart a little bit. That's tough sometimes when you're trying to establish a block. You just have to sort of stay solid.
Chambers clocking in at 6'9", the Corona, California native. BYU gets another kill, and they're back up 19-17.
Yeah, Tufunga out of that back row. Had a number of those yesterday against Lincoln Memorial. That's one of his bread and butter swings.
Tufunga averaging 2.29 kills per set. Last time he played versus Harvard, he had 14 kills and 3 total blocks. Out of system were the Crimson. Shevchuk unable to chase that one down.
It all starts with a good serve from Mosier. Again, big-time serve, big-time player. It's an All-America honorable mention last year at Grand Canyon. That was a team that really hit its apex last year, and then unfortunately the program was axed.
Getting the tool, Zach Birdie almost tried to dink it over a couple of blockers for the Cougars, but he tools it and goes out of bounds on the Harvard side of things. And still a 2-point game. It's still close here late in the first set. Good dig by Fife, going to his right and getting the kill. There is old Damey. He knocks it through the block of Birdie.
Yeah, same thing we saw a moment ago on the other side where, you know, blocker gets up midair and just sort of gets a little bit off balance. And Oldini finds that spot.
Ian Little, the junior from Temecula, California, now serving for the Cougars. Another one of those serving specialists that you mentioned earlier, Ben. Great kill, sending it down, Zach Birdie. A lot of oomph on that one. Mosier wasn't ready for it. He reached out his left arm, got a piece of it, but not all of it.
Yeah, the game becoming a little bit more specialized, especially on the serving side of things. So you'll see a lot of teams will employ at least one, sometimes two, in BYU's case, serving specialists.
Good serve by Birdie. Tough reception by Tufunga. It goes over the Cougar bench. No one was able to get to it unless they want to take out one of their teammates. Harvard still within one. It is anyone's game, coming down to the wire in set number 1.
It's now 4 aces each. Harvard has risen to the challenge here in this opening set.
They really have cleaned up their offense. 12 kills, only 2 errors on 19 attempts. That's a tough service error you want to take right there, however. BYU back up by 2.
Yeah, sometimes it's not always the number of service errors, but it's when they happen throughout the course of a match or a set that can determine sort of whether or not they really hurt you.
With how efficient these offenses have been, the blocks are going to be very crucial should they happen. There's a kill for Sawyer Nichols. He tips one off of a double block by the Cougars. They're just hanging around. looking to plant that seed of doubt in the superior ranked Cougars.
Well, like you said, you talked about the BYU block, almost 3 per set. So far, only 1 in this first set. Harvard's done a good job looking for that outside arm.
Pass by Herget, trying to look for the attack up top. On the second touch, just too far. He had the open area. Quinn Bishop just too strong.
Yeah, would have hoped, I think, for a better set from Eric Sue the first year, who was the setter in high school at Cambridge Ringen Latin down the road. It was a good first touch by Shevchuk. Missed opportunity there for Harvard.
Tafunga, strong serve, and when they're going to blow that play dead. The ball did touch the top referee's standing area. Shevchuk tried to save it, did not do so. It's now set point for BYU, but we're going to have a timeout on the floor as Brian Bays wants to talk over things.
Yeah, and there you see where the missed opportunity really comes back to hurt. So, you know, you had a chance after the dig by Shevchuk to be able to score in your own transition. And then all of a sudden Tafunga's at the line, and he's been the best server today so far for BYU. He puts another tough one in that you can't handle, and now all of a sudden you're up against it with set point.
Brian Bays currently in his 18th season as head coach of the Harvard Crimson, a 184-192 career record. Harvard Crimson, member of the EIVA. Assistant coaches you see there, Chase Howard and Will Sorensen, trying to improve from their 9-15 record last year. Bit of a legend here around these parts in Cambridge, Massachusetts. Bays leading the Crimson to their first ever national ranking in 2012. Also leading them to their first EIVA title. He also won Coach of the Year for the EIVA in 2012 as well. A former 4-year starter as a student athlete at Princeton. Another member of the EIVA. Former head coach for the club team over at the University of California as well before taking the head coaching job here in Cambridge. Tafunga resumes, set point for the Cougars. Shevchuk the pass, near side, finds the floor, Sawyer Nichols.
Big first set for the sophomore, 7 kills on 8 swings. Gonna need a couple big serves here though to keep things going.
He had a career-high 15 kills versus California State University of Northbridge back on the 9th of January. And that one to flex all around, must have changed directions twice. Fung couldn't read it, and BYU takes the first set 25-22.
Once again, in a big spot, they go to Mosier. Wasn't the prettiest that he's ever had, but he'll take it. Double deflection leads BYU to the finish line.
Harvard hits 50.
It's that balance that this BYU attack has, and they have not really gotten the middles involved yet.
Indeed. Players like Gavin Chambers and Max Philippe haven't done much offensively. Harvard is going to get the first point here of this second set.
And for the Crimson, I think the biggest adjustment they need to make is just with the serve receive, just being able to at least give themselves a chance even on the toughest of serves.
They went right for the middle there, Brian Thomas. Monster block. Sawyer Nichols getting it done defensively now as well. His first block today.
Yeah, first one for Harvard as well. Just a straight up one-on-one. Nichols winning the battle up top against Oldaney.
How efficient both offenses have been as Shevchuk commits an error on the serve. With how efficient these offenses have been, those blocks are going to be very crucial, especially when we start getting real close toward the latter stages of each set. It's a big one there for the Crimson as Tafunga will serve for the Cougars. Far side, a little bit of a push from Birdie. Looking to respond is Mosier. Near side again, Nichols still no. Oldaney's turn, longest rally so far tonight. Birdie deflects back towards the Crimson side, and Fung can't get there in time. BYU's tied things up at 2.
Good anticipation there. Got all 3 over to block Birdie, and I think Harvard still had a shot at it off the deflection. Nichols just needs to let Fung take control there. He had a better angle at that pass.
Tafunga with a rocket serve, skims off the top of the netting, drifts a bit too far to the right side.
That little deflection may have just been enough to push it out, but that was still very close.
It's now Zach Birdie, the Corona Del Mar, California native, the senior. Right to the libero Fife. Opposite side, looking for Oldaney. Or excuse me, that was Mosier. Dig for Tafunga. Quick serve over the middle, and Max Philippe gets involved offensively, his first kill today.
Boy, this is what makes Herget so special. He is on the move, racing towards the net, has the great ability to slam on the brakes and good anticipation by Philippe to read the quick set.
Tyler Herget currently 5th in the MPSF in assists per set, averaging 9.64. That is 18th in all of NCAA. He's had 4 instances averaging over 10 assists per set in a single match this season. He's currently sitting with 14.
He went over 10 in that first set.
Brian Thomas going to his left was Tafunga to receive and keep it alive. Just a bit too strong for Tyler Herget. Not too often you see a setter get a kill. We saw the setter for Lincoln Memorial get 3 of them in the game earlier against Merrimack, but Herget went a little bit too strong with it.
Looks like we're going to get our first challenge there. I think that was actually Oldaney who had that swing. He was pretty convinced that there was a deflection. Tough to tell. There wasn't any clear alteration on the flight path, but, this is, a pretty common one that coaches will look for in challenge. And again, so often you sort of trust your team on the floor. If a guy tells you, hey, I know that ball was touched, you're going to be pretty convinced and have another look at it.
Appears we're going to have a replay of it here. See the windup, see the swing, and it happens right above the netting right there. That's a real tough angle. It's tough to see, but it looks like after discussion they are going to give the point to the Cougars. It's now tied up at 4. Big swing there. A 2-point lead for Harvard turns into a tie game, and just like that, the Crimson take back the lead off the service error from Oldaney. Sawyer Nichols, 3 aces this season. Over the middle again, Gavin Chambers now getting involved offensively. Tyler Herget now targeting the middle with his passes.
Yeah, must have heard what we were talking about up here. They said they hadn't really involved the middles yet. All of a sudden, Philippe gets one. Now Chambers gets one.
The incredible timing of it all, those bang-bang plays. A split-second blink of an eye between pass and spike.
Nichols just trying to find a seam that wasn't really there.
Back and forth they go. No team really rushing out to a big lead. Going to his left for the dig was Birdie. Trying to go to the near side. Triple block at the netting. Well read by Herget along with Chambers. Far side now to Tafunga. Tafunga now with his 7th kill today, tied for the match high along with Sawyer Nichols. Low serve, Wolbert just has to send it over unconventionally, and Tafunga is going to capitalize back-to-back kills for the junior from Long Beach.
Yeah, spot on there. Again, low trajectory on the set for Wolbert, so he doesn't get much pace on the ball. And again, BYU so quick in transition.
Tafunga, 6 kills on 7 attempts, no errors, 3 aces, 2 digs, and a block as well. He's been all over the place. He's been outstanding today.
Well, it feels like that momentum is heavily swung in BYU's favor, but not able to really widen the gap here early on.
Quinn Bishop, who achieved his new career high in kills last night with 10, as the kill is there for the Cougars, and now they're up by 3, their largest lead this second frame.
Yeah, confident going to that back row attack, whether it's Tafunga or Mosier, whoever it may be, has been spot on for BYU so far tonight.
A little bit of a floater serve from Chambers there. Trying to make him pay, and doing so is Zach Birdie. He drills one.
Nice quick run, reward the pass from Birdie, and a good run in the middle by Wolbert. Really sold like he was going to get that set, and that paused the block just for a moment.
Well timed by the Crimson, and now it's the junior from Jackson, Ohio, Owen Wolbert. His turn to serve. Goes right to Tafunga with the reception. Near side looked like they were going for Tafunga. It was Mosier. Getting the tool, he fights through the block. Sawyer Nichols emphatically.
Well, that should be a big energy boost on the Harvard side. You'll love when the middles go back and play some defense. Owen Wolbert able to stand solid there and make a good pass off that big swing out of the back row.
Wolbert to serve yet again. Harvard down 9-7. Good dig, diving to his right was Fife, but they're unable to follow it up. And Harvard has now tied this thing up.
First ace of the set for the Crimson after they had 4 in the first. So, again, they've kind of gone toe-to-toe with BYU serving-wise. That was going to be a big key to this one.
Wolbert continuing his hot streak. Going to the middle, well read by Wolbert defensively. It's just pushed over by Nichols. BYU tries again. Tafunga drills one. He's heating up. Talon Jonathan Tafunga with yet another kill. BYU takes back the lead. That's kill number 8 for him.
Yeah, they're going to keep going to that matchup with Shevchuk right now in the front row. Whenever you see that setter up front for the other team, that's always a spot you want to try to at least put some pressure on and see how that setter holds up in the blocking game.
Tafunga, 6'5". It's a relatively average height in terms of men's volleyball, but just his overall size and his power. Another ace on the board, this time for the Crimson. The Cougars are trying to say it went a little bit far past that back line.
Well, not enough
final
for Sean
Harvard with
Olmsted
their
to
first
challenge.
lead.
Yeah, first blush, I thought this one was in.
It was the serve from Adrian Shevchuk. No challenge taken by Sean Olmsted. The play will stand. Fung with the initial touch. Able to save it was Shevchuk. Great defense going down to a knee was Bishop for the dig. Getting the kill. Birdie capitalizes. And Harvard is in total control. It's 12-10.
Outstanding defense by Fung. First touch, just give somebody a shot. Great pursuit by Shevchuk. Harvard able to survive the extended rally, and Birdie beats the triple block.
Again, Fife with another dig off the reception from the serve. It rockets off of Fung's forearms. Point goes to the Cougars. It's 12-11.
Harvard picking up the defense a little bit here in the second set.
So far this season, BYU has either won in straight sets or lost in 5. Both losses coming to 5th-ranked UC Irvine. Miscommunication for the Cougars. They were out of system. Jackson Fife and Trent Mosier got their signals crossed.
Yeah, I mean, tough ball here on the swing from Thomas. Fife is trying to pull this one pretty much off the floor, and it just pinballs right off of Mosier.
Birdie with the Crimson up by 2, just kind of floats it over.
That was a missed toss.
He kind of almost underhand served that, tossed it up too low. BYU able to score on the attack. Now down by just 1.
I think it kind of just rolled off his fingertips. Usually you want, you get that flick at the end to get the height.
Definitely looked a little bit awkward there on that release. Fung with a tough reception. Bad second hit by Shevchuk. Just slapping it over was Sawyer Nichols. BYU looking to capitalize. Bishop getting a piece of it defensively. Rejected! Sawyer Nichols went for it. It was turned away. Trent Mosier, Gavin Chambers in the middle.
Yeah, it's a big-time block by Chambers. I like the decision, honestly, by Nichols. This ball's up for grabs. He says, let me go and try to get it. And Chambers just takes away his airspace.
Chambers 13th in the NCAA in blocks per set, averaging 1.13. That's out of the reach of Adrian Shevchuk, and BYU is back up by 1.
Interesting. They try to mix it up and put Nichols a little tighter to the net that time. Even when he's in the front row, Harvard will typically set the sophomore a little more off the net. That time Shevchuk put him tight, and you could only bounce it off the block.
Tyler Herget already with 21 helpers. A little dink shot is good. Brian Thomas throwing the off speed, and it works for the Crimson.
Yeah, that's a really effective tip. It's when it can be an effective shot. You want to put it almost directly just over the top of the blocker, because even if everybody else comes crashing in like they did that time for BYU, if you put it almost directly behind the blocker and not too far to one side or the other, it's going to be almost impossible to really get good contact and give yourself a chance to make a play.
Max Philippe was diving in, looking for the pancake to keep it alive, just out of his reach. Near side, tooling it was Oldaney. He ricochets it off of Quinn Bishop.
And the block was there, but just angled too far to the side.
They love attacking to that outside, do the Cougars. Off the skim of the net. Fung able to keep it alive, but that one's rejected. Gavin Chambers yet again, this time stuffing Sawyer Nichols at the netting.
Yeah, that was what Harvard was looking for early on. Better block from Chambers, and now all of a sudden that vaunted Cougar block starting to have some more effectiveness.
Pass for the opposite side. Great kill for Quinn Bishop.
It's a good job by Shevchuk. And Wolbert as well, I should say, making things happen on the fly. Wolbert still sold like he was going to be an option there when it was really just going to be Bishop all along.
Nichols drills it over. Outside again, and this time the Harvard Crimson get the block. Wolbert combining with Bishop.
That's all Wolbert really there, able to take away on the angle. Zini tried to switch it up, go down the line. Bishop made himself big.
16-16, rocket serve from Nichols. Oldaney with the kill.
Again, Herget just doing a good job finding who's in rhythm. Early on it was Tafunga, now it's Oldaney. Again, keeps everybody involved, but you have to know when to find the hot hand.
Both Tafunga and Oldaney with 8 kills so far in this matchup. Birdie going for the opposite side, and Sawyer Nichols will take the tool kill off of Chambers.
Well, still right there in terms of going swing for swing with the Cougars. Nichols like, I don't know who I hit, but I know I hit somebody.
Both these offenses have been remarkably efficient. BYU hitting 523, Harvard 357. Service error for the Crimson, and BYU back up by 1. But Harvard is right in this thing. What we called a real underdog story here. Harvard definitely an inferior opponent against BYU. These West Coast teams definitely dominate the landscape in terms of college men's volleyball, and Harvard's there hanging with the best of them.
Yeah, I mean, you know, they've got the size to compete. It's just sort of being able to string it all together. And in what has been a little bit of an inconsistent start this year, this has definitely been the most consistent match we've seen out of the Crimson.
Cole Hauser has a service error, so now we're tied up again at 18. Largest lead of this set was a BYU 3-point lead. Harvard had a 2-point lead, and other than that, no one's really been running away from either set, even going back to the first.
To your point, though, the biggest thing working in Harvard's favor is they already had a West Coast trip where they played 3 ranked teams, so they know sort of what to expect.
A little bit of a broken play, and Adrian Shevchuk able to capitalize. BYU had no idea what was happening.
Yeah, everybody froze on the Cougar side, assuming this point was over. It was headed for the antenna. Heads-up play by Shevchuk to go and get it.
The initial touch by Wolbert looked like it was going to go either off the antenna or back over the netting to the Cougars' side, and Shevchuk just kept his eyes open, knew what was available.
Well, he was...
Tafunga finds the back. No, he misses the back line.
Yeah, I thought that was in, too.
And we'll see if we get a challenge here. Maybe not.
Yep, there's the green card.
We will have a challenge here. Head coach Sean Olmstead is going to have the referees take a look at this, see if Taylor and Jonathan Tafunga kept that attack inside that back line.
Yeah, this is absolutely a worthwhile risk, too, because you won your first challenge, so you still have both available to you. And all of a sudden, if you lose this challenge, if this ball was in fact out, all of a sudden you're down 2, and you're getting to the end stages of this second set. So, you know, it's a worthwhile challenge to look for the tie here and keep your team going sort of on serve, if you will.
We're going to have a replay coming up here. Here you see Tafunga on the outside. Gets it with the right hand.
Well,
that's
close,
real close.
Yeah, sometimes, again, in the moment live, looks one way, and then when you see it on the video, it looks another way, but they are going to give it to Tafunga.
It's got to be over the line entirely.
Yep.
If it hits the line, it still counts as in play, and they do give it to Tafunga, and we're back tied up at 19.
You could hit that very last millimeter of white, but as long as it hits it, it's in.
Herget with the serve, trying to send it over on the second touch was Shevchuk. Coming up from the back line over the middle. Trent Mosier gives BYU the lead.
Well, good recovery for Harvard. That point should have been dead from the outset off the block, but again, that back row paying dividends for BYU.
Slipping it right in between Nichols and Fung. Opposite side, unable to corral that one was Mosier, and Sawyer Nichols with yet another kill. Make that 10 today.
Yeah, just no nonsense. Set it high, set it out, let Nichols go and get it.
Tafunga this time on the opposite side. Still kept alive by the Cougars. Nearly a tool for the Cougars now. Harvard's turn to attack. Back and forth they go. Good defense by the Crimson here. Bishop the pass for Nichols, too strong.
Again, little tight to the net, and that's because Shevchuk takes that first contact. Now you've got somebody else setting the ball. Bishop, not a setter by nature. It's not a bad set by any means, but because Nichols isn't used to really being right on the net like that, you want to give him a little bit more berth.
Latter stages here of this second set. BYU already up 1-0 after taking the first frame. The attack for Birdie was too strong, and now let's see if Harvard looks to challenge this one here.
I really thought that was deflected.
He is going to
challenge
for a deflection. Head coach Brian Bays looking to see if this attack from Zach Birdie deflected off a Cougar before going out of bounds. If it stands, it's a 2-point lead for BYU. Should it go in the Crimson favor, we're back tied at 21.
Yeah, I really thought this ball changed direction again. Sometimes tough to see on review, but I'll say one thing. So far, our challenges so far have been fairly expedited.
Indeed, they've been pretty quick reviews. They've been well thought out challenges by these coaches. Definitely know what they've saw, and definitely I think the players helping them out as well. They're the guys doing all the heavy lifting on the floor. They're like, hey, that guy touched it. We should probably challenge this call. Given how close this game is, this is a potentially pivotal point of the second set here.
No, absolutely.
See Birdie attacking on the opposite side. It's tough there because the head of Trenton Mosier is kind of in the way.
Yeah, I again, if there's contact, it's from the middle, I think. But like you said, I think it was Mosier sort of obscures that view. Fortunately, the officials have a wider array of cameras. We'll see if maybe we can get a better glimpse on the overhead here. Yeah, I think if there is a touch, it comes off of Philippe.
If anything, it's that right hand of Philippe if it touched right there, and the referee's still looking at it. I think that second camera angle is definitely the better one that we had, but like you said, the referees definitely have more at their disposal.
Yeah, in the building, there are cameras all around on the net as well, so you have...
Referee says it was tipped. Good challenge by the Harvard Crimson. We're tied up at 21.
So 3 coaches' challenges all have been overturned. Even the coaches are hitting at a high percentage, not just the players.
490 for BYU, 306 for Harvard. Both coaches are hitting 1,000 right now. Ricochets around, goes underneath the net, and Harvard back up 22-21 now.
Yeah, long run for Herget, so he only had one hitting option there. Harvard gets the triple set up with big Brian Thomas at the center of it. Just nothing Mosier could do there, really.
How tough is it to get that ball over a 7-foot tall man from Moraga, California?
Very tough.
Sticking out one arm was Zach Birdie. He kind of threw off his libero, Fung. Misplay there by the Crimson, and it's knotted up at 22.
Going back on serve, though, so Harvard won't mind that. At this point, it's just you're trying to get any sort of mini run.
They bring out Ian Little again for the serve. Strong serve right to Birdie. Bad pass back over to the BYU side of things. Mosier is going to make him pay.
Yeah, just a little over-aggressive there by Fung, calling off Shevchuk. You know, it wasn't such a bad pass off the serve that I think you needed to have somebody else step in and take the set there. Obviously, you know, you've got Shevchuk out there running the offense for a reason. And in certain instances, you don't want your setter running too far. You want to be able to have somebody be able to sort of square up and make a set. But, you know, Fung that time just tried to do a little too much with that ball.
BYU was able to take the first set 25-21. And in that set, BYU was up 24-21, and they kind of just took it away at the end there. Meanwhile, this set is much more closer. It's been back and forth. No one's been able to get that big of a lead besides much earlier in this second set, but it's really coming down to the wire in this second frame right here, and BYU trying to push the Crimson on the brink here.
Yeah, I don't think this set has been separated by maybe even more than 3 points throughout. Obviously, if you're Harvard, you don't want to go down 2-0. At that point, you're, you know, throwing everything up against the wall.
2 service aces for the Crimson in this second set, 0 for the Cougars. And I think the more telling stat here, 6 service errors for BYU, just 2 for Harvard. Serves all important here, and Ian Little with a big one. It's a clean one right to Bishop. They go to the opposite side for Nichols, and it's rejected. Trent Mosier was there. 24-22 set point, and yet another timeout going to be called by Brian Bays.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
You mentioned earlier, Ben, that Harvard kind of knows what these West Coast teams are all about. They had that West Coast road trip to start the season, and they faced off against some of the best teams in the country. They faced UC Irvine to start the season. Then they faced CSUN. For those who don't know, that's California State University of Northbridge. They're ranked number 11th. Back at the time they were, of course. And then on the 10th, 3 straight days, 3 different ranked opponents in the state of California. They rounded it out with UC Santa Barbara. They lost all 3 of those matches, but they were able to take 2 sets over that 3-match trip. What do you think a couple of things they learned, perhaps, on that early season road trip out on the West Coast?
I mean, some things you're always trying to figure out early in the season, sort of what your best rotations are, who you like in what spots. I mean, for Harvard, it's a light roster. There's only, 12 players on the roster, so a lot of that is sort of built in. You know you're going to go with Thomas and Wilbert as your experience in the middle. Birdie's been a staple at the outside over the course of his entire career. Bishop, though, is a guy who's moved around a little bit. He's played some libero. He's played some outside. So, where was going to be his best fit?
A strong set point here. Sawyer Nichols able to keep Harvard alive in this. He tools it off of Gavin Chambers.
For Nichols, the question for him was, an injury-plagued first year. He only played about half the season. So, would he be really able to step into a high-volume role on that right side? So far, the answer's been yes.
It is now Eric Sue, the first-year student, the local boy from Cambridge, Massachusetts. He's going to serve for the Crimson in a big spot. Go to the opposite side. Did it stay in? He was rejected. Sawyer Nichols with the biggest block today, and it's 24-all.
Boy, that's one of those everybody in the crowd holding their breath, waiting to see if that ball would land in.
That's a solo block by Nichols. He reached over to his left side to reject Trent Mosier. What a block by him.
Mosier got him with a big point a couple ago, and Nichols returns the favor here.
Herget lays one up for Mosier, who makes no mistake.
Yeah, that's a great decision by the setter, going right back to the same guy. If you're Harvard, you're probably figuring they're going to change it up, go somewhere else. Herget says, no, I'm going to my main man.
25-24, set point yet again. It's a win by 2. Dugout on the reception, and Owen Wilbert on the attack ties it back up again.
Good time to go to the middle. Needed a great pass and got it. Wolbert making the contact at the peak of his jump, right where you want it.
Sawyer Nichols to serve. Strong serve to Funga on the reception. Outside Mosier, good dig by Fung. Touched over by Birdie. Mosier again gets the tool.
You can see he's played in a bunch of high leverage games over the course of his career, whether it was early on with BYU, last year at Grand Canyon, now back with the Cougars. Not a guy who's going to be fazed by the moment.
If you're Harvard, you got to worry about 3 possible attackers. It's either Tufunga, Mosier, or Oldaney. Oldaney's been relatively quiet recently, but that's a big service error for Trent Mosier, and it's 26-all yet again.
He was going for it, trying to get the win straight off with the set. And instead, we continue to go back and forth into extra points.
This is the longest set of the entire Harvard Invitational. Before, it was Harvard versus Merrimack's third set. Harvard took that one 26-24 as that serve drills head coach Sean Olmstead up high.
Shrugged it off.
I'm sure that's not the first time that's happened to him. Gavin Chambers looking to seal the set for the Cougars, and another service error for them keeps the Crimson in it.
Well, it's 2 cardinal sins.
That is 8 service errors this set for BYU.
Well, they're going to be kicking themselves about those if Harvard comes back to win this.
Hurricane trying to lay it up. It was well out of the reach of Oldaney. Too far. Sawyer Nichols gives BYU another 1-point lead.
Well, that was the opportunity there for Harvard. They got a tip. It was not necessarily a free ball situation, but close to it. They were able to run their offense, and Nichols just missed on the swing.
Hurricane with 29 assists already. He serves. It was received by Bishop. Was it too far? Did it stay in? It did stay in. Brian Thomas ties it back up at 28.
Well, only for the moment. We're going to get another challenge here. Sean Olmstead saw his entire team tell him that ball was out. He says, hey, I've got 2. Why not try to win a set with a challenge?
A relatively quick decision by the Cougars and Sean Olmstead, and this challenge could be set and potentially match-saving for BYU.
And boy, on a day where both teams have just been crazy efficient hitting-wise, if it comes down to 2 missed swings for Harvard here, that's going to be a tough pill to swallow in this second set.
It was Sawyer Nichols on the opposite side trying to go across the court to go on the near side from your camera feed. Let's see if we got a replay of it here and see where it lands. He's not challenging for a tip. He's challenging for the landing spot of the ball.
Yeah, just in or out. Yeah, nobody made contact with this one.
Should the call stand, it'll be 28-28, and we'll continue the second set until someone wins by 2. Should the challenge be successful yet again, and Sean Olmstead go 3 for 3 on challenges, BYU will win it 29-27. And they do give it to BYU. Sean Olmstead has been a master with the coaches' challenges today, and BYU takes the second set by a score of 29-27. 2-0. BYU now leads Harvard Crimson. Harvard now on the brink. Andrew McCarthy alongside Ben Altscher. You're watching this broadcast of men's volleyball on ESPN+. We'll be back for set number 3.
One from Thomas, and sometimes those fine margins are what decides these matches.
It seems the serves have been the X factor in this matchup. It's really been the reason Harvard has been able to stick around in this game, more so the mistakes made by the Cougars in that second set. A lot of service errors, not just in that second set, but this game as a whole.
Yeah, and that was going to be, a real key for Harvard, not just this match, but really for the course of the season. They're going to have to be able to serve effectively and serve receive effectively in order to get to be where they want to be.
Tyler Herget with the Cougars already up 1-0. Serves it to Fung. And Harvard's going to get on the board. Brian Thomas with the kill. Kill number 5 for him today. Sawyer Nichols currently holding tied for the match high with 11. He's tied with Old Daney of BYU. Both these offenses have been remarkably efficient, especially for BYU. 467 for the Cougars all match long. 33 kills, 5 errors on 60 attempts.
Yeah, just a very low error team, but still make you earn it. Good swings all the way around.
Tafunga drills one, goes right to Birdie. Just smacked over by Sawyer Nichols. Herget lays one up, looking for Mosier. He can't get it to fall. Mosier's going to try again. Gets the tool off the triple block. Nichols was there, as was Bishop. Thomas as well.
It's almost like a play action fake, right? He goes looking like he's going to hammer this ball and then just casually pushes it off Nichols.
BYU looking for their 4th straight win, all in straight sets. Quinn Bishop gets the tool. It was a good double block. Max Philippe was the first one there, but it goes out of bounds. Harvard point.
Yeah, good job by Bishop. Really didn't have anything to swing at there. Just was able to find a crease and tool it off the block.
Brian Thomas, the 7-footer, serves to Tafunga. Tafunga right up the middle, and he'll get it. It ricochets off of Thomas, then off the antenna. And BYU back up by 2.
A little bit of a quiet second set there for Tafunga. Kind of look to get him going again here.
Actually ricocheted off the camera that we have there alongside the net. Not often we saw Tafunga going right up the middle. Harvard tries to go up the middle, and Wolbert is rejected by Chambers, the middle blocker.
Yeah, really good start for BYU. This is what you want to do after you sort of grab what was a very nip and tuck second set. Try to put Harvard up against it early in the third, build the lead. Kind of see if you can sow some seeds of doubt in there.
Chambers had 4 blocks yesterday against Lincoln Memorial. He's got 5 now.
Harvard in the net.
BYU taking full control of this one already. It's 6-2.
Yeah, if this gets another point or two here, Brian Bay is going to consider an early timeout.
Philippe with a soft serve doesn't get over the netting, and Harvard stays in it for now. Now here's Sawyer Nichols. This Harvard Crimson team, you mentioned that West Coast road trip to start the season, but since then it's been a lot of home cooking. A couple of matchups against Manhattan, non-conference game against MIT on the 23rd, and then obviously hosting the Crimson Invitational here against Merrimack and BYU. And then next weekend they got a couple of matchups against NJIT, another strong team in the NCAA rankings, and an EIVA conference matchup.
Yeah, always want to get conference play started off of the right foot, and NJIT is a team that Harvard has kind of been right there in the middle of the pack in the EIVA with over the last couple of years. So if you can maybe bank a couple home wins and have a tiebreaker in your back pocket to start conference play, that'll certainly help things.
Quinn Bishop, his turn to serve. Goes right to Mosier. Mosier, tough second set. Herget has to go out of bounds past the line to keep it in play. Just pushing it over is Birdie. BYU's turn again. Tafunga again up the middle, and they've been doing that more often here in this third set. It works again.
Well, that's all Herget. I mean, he single-handedly wins that point for BYU. Just the pursuit of the ball on the overpass, it almost never works. I mean, you can see it happen 50 times and almost nobody ever gets it, but Herget does well to make sure he's out of play, gets it back over to his side. Mosier extends the rally, and then a great set.
Birdie gets the tool, but we mentioned Tyler Herget before, Ben, and last year when they played Harvard twice, did BYU, and back in Provo, Utah, Herget accumulated 68 assists and 13 digs across both games versus Harvard, including 44 assists in a 4-set match. He's on pace to get pretty close to that point. He's already at 34 here. Make that now 35 off the kill from Gavin Chambers.
And you can see doing what any good setter does. Quick peek over the defense to see if that shoot set for Chambers was available. It was. Thomas not quite able to get over in time.
Shevchuk to the opposite side for Sawyer Nichols, and he'll tool it off of Philippe. So again, this consistent 3 to 4 point lead that BYU has kind of been running with. It occurred a lot in the first set and kind of replicating itself here in the third.
Yeah, that's where the Cougars will live comfortably in this set if they can.
That's too far for Adrian Shevchuk.
Don't want Harvard to get, string together, a 3-0 run, 4-1 run. Content to trade points even at this early stage.
Tyler Herget has a brother on the team, Trevor Herget. He's a freshman outside hitter, both from Darien, Connecticut. Tyler Herget, the transfer from EIVA school Penn State. He made the trip over to BYU, and now his brother has joined him over in Provo, Utah, as Tafunga is able to reject that attack bid, and he'll send it down to the floor, and BYU has one of the largest leads tonight. It's 11-6.
Well, it's a good get. The Herget family, a legacy at BYU. The dad, Todd, was a linebacker on their football team. All four brothers playing high-level college volleyball.
Tooling that was Zach Birdie. He goes off of Tafunga, and Tafunga's been just about everywhere today. I feel like I've called his name the most out of everyone. Offensively, defensively, 11 kills, no errors on 14 attempts. He's hitting .786 today, and also tied for a match-high 3 aces to boot. Tough first touch by Fife. It goes out of bounds on Harvard's side of the netting. That's a great serve by Zach Birdie, and he'll return to do the same thing.
And that's one that the Crimson needed there, just again to be able to string a couple points together.
11-8 Cougars. Birdie, the Corona Del Mar, California native. Herget goes to the opposite side for Tafunga. Getting a piece of that one was Brian Thomas, but he couldn't find it again. Neither could any of the other Crimson members. And it falls to the floor. BYU back up by 4.
Again, Altafunga on that play, steps in front of Fife to take the serve, gets the swing as well.
Offense is flying high here at the Malkin Athletic Center. Sawyer Nichols has his attack block detoned. Finding an open spot on the floor, that's Connor Oldamy. It's been a while since he's gotten involved offensively. That's now kill number 13 for him. 3 different Cougars with a dozen, and we're going to have a timeout by Brian Bays of the Harvard Crimson as they're down by 5 midway through this third set.
Yeah, you're okay at 3 to 4 to a certain extent. Once the lead gets a little bigger than that, you want to start to talk about it. Triple block there, but good measured swing by Oldany just to be able to turn it around or over that block and go to the open corner.
We mentioned it a little bit before, Ben, but let's take a look at the upcoming schedule for the Harvard Crimson. Conference play just around the corner. They're going to be facing NJIT twice next weekend, February 13th and 14th here at home. And then they hit the road. They go down to Happy Valley to face the number 14th ranked team in the country, Penn State. A couple of really crucial matchups here for EIVA standings.
Yeah, I mean, Penn State, once again, the favorite in the conference. No surprise there. Just every match is going to be tight, really, in the EIVA. And so it's just on any given day, how are you able to step up and perform for Harvard? I think one of the challenges is going to be, can they maintain health over the course of the season with a short roster? That's going to be critical. And then sort of how do you handle the wear and tear, and how are you able to sort of manage yourself through the conference? Some big changes to this Harvard rotation. Obviously, there's some known commodities, guys like Birdie and Woolbert, but some new faces in new parts of the rotation as well. New setter, whether it's going to be Shevchuk or true first-year Kai Gann. I think Harvard's still working through that. Shevchuk's had a good weekend, so maybe getting closer to sort of firming up that decision.
Max Philippe able to stuff Quinn Bishop's attack bid. They'll be on the road against Penn State before returning home versus Charleston for a couple matches. And they got a lot of road games in the month of March.
I think that actually went off Philippe and off the antenna.
Indeed it did, so Harvard is now down by 4 instead of BYU being up by 6. Now they're back up by 5 after tooling it off of Owen Wolbert. 14-9 BYU lead. We'll probably get into BYU's upcoming schedule next timeout opportunity we have. But it's Max Philippe, the freshman from Houston, Texas, his turn to serve. He had 7 total blocks in just 3 sets versus UC Santa Barbara. They go to the middle for Owen Wolbert, but Trent Mosier was in the perfect spot defensively. And that one was mistimed. Looked like they were going for Wolbert, but instead it was Nichols. And Mosier's going to tool it off of Nichols, and BYU has their largest lead tonight.
Yeah, not sure what the miscommunication was there. Shevchuk, I think, wanted maybe a slide ball for Wolbert, and then Nichols maybe thought it was intended for him.
Max Philippe returns to work. Another quick serve right for Wolbert. He almost punched it on a straight line. It was well defended by the Cougars. And that one is a monster block. Connor Oldaney.
Yeah, Bishop wanted to turn that one down the line. Oldaney had it read and covered. Good penetration.
Him and Gavin Chambers setting up the double block very effectively. Bishop again. This time it's Chambers.
Hang time from the big man.
Chambers, 6'9", 3 or more total blocks in 7 matches this season. He's now at 7 total blocks today. Another timeout is going to be called, this time by Brian Bays again. Harvard down by 9.
Yeah, I think there was an inquiry here on whether or not Chambers maybe have carried the ball or palmed the ball a little bit, but
does not look like there's going to be much of a protest from Brian Bays.
Yeah, that's not a challengeable play, so just maybe call the timeout and see if you can find some of that energy that Harvard had in the second set.
Let's take a look at the upcoming schedule for the BYU Cougars. They play in the MPSF conference for men's volleyball. They're going to remain on the East Coast for a couple of days as they take on the Merrimack Warriors in North Andover on Monday night, 6 p.m. Then they return back to the western part of the country for a couple matchups against Menlo and Fort Valley. Menlo, part of the MPSF conference as well. That's how they get their conference portion of their schedule kicked off.
And for BYU, coming off a year where they finished tied for 3rd, obviously they're looking up at USC and UCLA, who they'll see come the end of the season. Those are the other 2 big time powers in the MPSF, and BYU hoping that they can crack through. It's been a few years since they last made an NCAA tournament, and the field has expanded as well over the last couple of years, so you feel like they're one of those teams that are going to be capable of knocking on the door, not only to win the MPSF, but also maybe to grab one of those very few at-large bids.
Indeed, BYU making the national championship game in 2016, 2017, and 2021, including 3 straight Final Four appearances as well. It's been an incredible program history led by Sean Olmstead. In his 11th season as head coach, a 194-78 career record as head coach of the Cougars, and a powerhouse conference, the MPSF. You mentioned before UCLA, definitely the runaway favorite, USC and Pepperdine as well. There's some heavy hitters over on the West Coast. Another kill for BYU. They're up by 8. They're in total control this one here, looking for yet another victory in straight sets here in Cambridge, Massachusetts.
Here's the other Herget.
Indeed, Trevor Herget, the freshman from Darien, Connecticut, younger brother to Tyler. Wearing number 4 in white. Here he is now looking for the kill, and he's going to get it. Trevor Herget gets on the board offensively. He's the outside hitter. Tyler's the setter. And the two of them combine to get on the board for the Cougars. It's 19-10. Off the top of the net, and everything is just going right for the Cougars today. Oldaney gets a little bit lucky off the top of the netting.
This will give Sean Olmstead a chance to extend the bench a little bit. Herget has actually played a fair amount over the course of the year. Came into the weekend with over 20 kills. He's sort of that next guy up on the depth chart right now behind Tafunga and Mosier.
Herget the set for Chambers, and that's 40 assists for Tyler Herget, and it's only set 3. He's having one of the best days of his career, and another timeout on the floor. I believe it's got to be by Sean Olmstead, because I believe Bays has already used his 2.
No, I think this is Harvard's second timeout, so the previous break must have been a challenge. Again, not sure what Brian Bays would have been looking for on the challenge, but did not win it, and it's now BYU, as you said, running away with this set. For the Herget family, I'm sure, not a lot of opportunity to have BYU come to the East Coast, so I'm sure lots of family and friends in attendance for this one and get a chance to see both brothers play.
Always a cool time to see brothers, especially those who are so far apart in age. They don't have much time to play together. Tyler, a senior, Trevor just getting started in his collegiate career. Always really cool stories to see the families see their children, especially brothers, play on the same team and contribute during the same play as well. It's not something you see often.
No, certainly great to get them together. And, I'll tell you what, that Connecticut boys high school volleyball scene's rapidly improving. And I think New England is sort of, in general, a burgeoning area. We talked about that a little bit yesterday with Hayden Westmather, the head coach at Merrimack, and his dad, who started the first boys club program in the state of Massachusetts. And, now there's upwards of, 30 or 40 club teams in New England. Public high school volleyball starting to become a bigger thing in Massachusetts, in Connecticut, in New Hampshire. So you're starting to see a little bit of the growth of the game at this part of the country, and hopefully it means more college programs come along as well.
Indeed, Coach Wes Mathers of Merrimack, former head coach at my alma mater, Nichols College. They've had an incredible rise of their men's volleyball program. During my freshman year, 2019, it was the first year that Nichols College offered men's volleyball, and it was super tiny, had a super tiny roster. Not a lot of guys coming in for it, but lo and behold, 4 years later, my senior year, they end up winning the conference championship, and Coach Wes Mathers last year bringing the Nichols College Bison to the Elite 8 in the Division III ranks. One of the biggest upsets in terms of tournament volleyball history, Division I or III.
Yeah, Division III is actually, New England is a pretty good stronghold for men's volleyball. Lots of really good programs. Springfield has been excellent over the course of time.
State of New York as well, St. Thomas Aquinas.
Yep, some other ones as well.
Dominican.
Division I, there's still growth coming along. Big block there by Wilbert. For a long time, Harvard was really the only program, and then Sacred Heart comes along. Now you've got Merrimack. You've got some of those Division IIs, as you mentioned, St. Thomas Aquinas, American International, starting to grow their programs as well. And hopefully we'll just see it continue on over the years. 3
consecutive points now for the Crimson. BYU looking to respond. That's kept alive by Shevchuk. Bishop going back to the opposite side, and Zach Birdie gets another one, make that 4 consecutive points for Harvard.
So a little pushback here out of the timeout from the Crimson. And I don't think Sean Olmstead will be overly concerned yet. Maybe if this gets to, again, 4 or 5 point gap, then you consider calling a timeout.
Kyle Zedeker, he's on the floor now, sophomore from Naperville, Illinois. Another transfer from Grand Canyon University. He's only appeared in 4 sets this season. We'll try to go for Trevor Herget. Trying to reach for the pancake was Trevor Herget. Does not fall, and Harvard getting a lot of momentum here, and Sean Olmstead is going to bring things to a halt.
Tried to let the reserves come in and close this one out, but he may have to go back to the regulars here.
Indeed, he had guys like Zedeker, Trevor Herget out there as well, and he's still got Trenton Mosier out on the floor, but let's see if he returns to the usual starting lineup. I'm sure Coach Olmstead would love to see his reserves try to finish this game out, but obviously Harvard with 5 straight points, it's making it a little bit interesting.
The other thing to think about is you do have a sub limit as well. So, it's not as if you can just, like in basketball, sub 4 guys in all at once. I mean, you can, but you burn 4 of your substitutions in that effort. So,
relatively quick timeout. This Coach Sean Olmstead gets a little refreshment.
Just going to give those guys a break and just say, look, I know you've been standing and watching for most of the weekend, but now is your opportunity, and you got to be able to take advantage of it.
Here at the final matchup of the Harvard Invitational, it was Harvard, Merrimack, Lincoln Memorial, and BYU, two teams from Massachusetts. Lincoln Memorial, a primarily Division II school on the north side of Kentucky, right on the border, or north side of Tennessee, I should say, right on the border of Kentucky, as there's a response by the Cougars. Gavin Chambers getting BYU back up on the board.
Yeah, good patience by Hauser to take that pass off the net.
Good assist there from Kyle Zedeker, his first one today. It appears Tyler Herget is going to finish the day with 39 assists. He did not reach that 40 mark like I originally thought. Harvard responds. Sawyer Nichols with another kill. He adds to his total, make that 14 today.
It's one off Nichols' career high.
Currently tied for the match high with Oldaney, both with 14.
Yeah, you look at that BYU box score. Again, great spread of the offense. Oldaney, Tafunga, Mosier, all right around the same number.
That's going to be a fourth hit by the Crimson, and BYU now 2 points away from sealing the deal. Oldaney with 14, Mosier with 13, Tafunga with 12. Birdie for the Crimson also has reached double digits in kills. He's got 10. They go to the opposite side, and Sawyer Nichols lays into one, and there's that career high. I believe he's matched it. One more will set his new career high, the sophomore from Anacortes, Washington. Outside, a lot of oomph on that one. That's Ian Little, the junior from Temecula, California. Sean Olmstead has been bringing him on more so as a serving specialist. He contributes offensively here.
Yeah, left-hander, so this is his strong side. A little bit of an inside-out swing there, and tough for Shevchuk to anticipate it.
I believe a foot infraction there on Zedeker. He stepped over on the serve. I don't see him that often. We've seen him twice so far in this match. If I had a nickel every time, I'd have two nickels, which isn't a lot. It's weird that it's happened twice. Birdie with the serve. Zedeker the set. Fung able to track it down, keep this game going. Sending it right back, Brian Thomas capitalizing, and it's 24-19.
Well, great pursuit by Fung there just to extend the rally. A rare miscue on the overpass, and right in the hitting window for Brian Thomas.
Match point for the Cougars. Zach Birdie, the serve. And that'll do it. The service error for Birdie closes things up here at the Malkin Athletic Center. BYU takes it in straight sets. 25-19 the final in set number 3.
I think some things for Harvard to take away from this, you know, through 2 sets, one of their better performances of the year, going toe-to-toe with a big swinging team like BYU. But again, it all comes down to consistency, and in the end, the Cougars' consistency was able to win out the day. Again, they end up hitting close to 500. Just very tough to stop that balanced attack. Herget doing a great job distributing to all areas of the floor, and BYU, you can see, very sound, disciplined in everything they do, and in the end, they were able to survive a good push from Harvard through the first 2 sets.
BYU had 9 total blocks, Harvard just with 5. Both very efficient offenses is over